Hi everybody, my name is Daniel Gramillion, and my company that I decided to look into is Absolute Software Corporation, or better known as just Absolute. I want to go with something a little bit different than some of the traditional businesses. I went with something smaller. Absolute is actually a Canadian company, and they have headquarters both in Vancouver and Austin, Texas, so they kind of dual between United States and Canada. But what they do, they provide endpoint security, data management, and geotagging for customers' devices. And all of this is through a cloud based platform that Absolute provides. Currently, they only have about 500 employees, a little bit less actually, but they have 12,000 customers across the world. So they are growing. They've been around about 20 years now. But what they do is they specialize kind of in this one exact area of database security. And not just database security, device security. And the reason I find them a little bit interesting is because they have kind of dual responsibilities for risk management between securing their own network and also securing the network and the software that they provide for their clients. So they're kind of facing it in two different directions. So a lot of this, the risks that I'm going to talk about, they go both towards internal and towards the software that they create, which is obviously their proprietary information. One of the first risks that they go up against is obviously hackers. People trying to breach their network, trying to breach the client's network through the software that they have. Now, one of the things that Absolute does is that their software is not a sole source. It is not the only virus protection that customers can have on their device. It actually works in conjunction with other security technologies, such as like McAfee. And what that does is that it just gives it another layer of protection. And having that endpoint security and a encryption that it provides on those devices helps kind of prevent and alleviate those risks. And a lot of this, Absolute doesn't say what they have on their internal networks because they don't want to give away their secrets, obviously. So a lot of this is assumed what I'm going to say about their internal network, but if they provide that for their client, I can pretty much guarantee that their internal network is as good or even better at protecting their network from hackers breaching. Now, one of the things that does happen is that hacking and the software does get better. It gets more technologically advanced. So this goes kind of into the next risk and what they do when obviously hacking gets more sophisticated or they happen to find a hole in the network. Absolute provides automated patch updates, and since it's a cloud-based platform, clients don't have to install it on their own or request any updates. The patch automatically gets installed on the devices and on the cloud-based platform, so it kind of helps constantly protect the network against advancing technologies. The next risk that comes into effect, this one pretty much goes towards the clients and the software that they provide, is eavesdropping. So not just hacking is getting into a device and stealing everything. Sometimes you want to just eavesdrop on the communication, and because this technology is used for clients to have remote users to VPN back into their network, sometimes it gets unsecure, sometimes it gets breached. So what Absolute provides in their technology is that end-to-end protection. So you can't eavesdrop on the communication going from the client's computer to the client's network. So that's the way that they alleviate that type of risk. One of the biggest things that Absolute actually pushes is theft prevention. So part of their technology, when it gets installed on the device, is that you can actually remotely wipe all the data on the device. As soon as it's connected to the network, you send a message, it gets hooked up to the internet connection, boom, wipes everything on the device. The other thing that they can do is actually freeze the computer. They can put up a custom thing that says, stop, this is our information, return to us, or whatever they want. They can actually freeze the computer so people can't get in. Going along with that same measure with theft is what happens when the device gets stolen. All of their software that gets installed on these devices actually has LoJack technology, so it will actually geotag everything, exactly where it is anytime it hits the network, and it pings within 33 yards is what they state. So if a device gets stolen, first of all, you can wipe it, you can freeze the computer, and then lastly, you can find out exactly where it is, so they can track it down. The last thing that is a risk, and it could either be malicious or it can be accidental, but device corruption. I'm going to use it in context of if the device gets stolen. So if the device does get stolen and somebody doesn't want to hook it up to the network but they want to get into it, they can try to flash the firmware, replace the hard drive, reimage the device, or even set it to factory settings. The great thing that Absolute provides is that this is a persistent technology. And as soon as you do any of those things, it will trigger and automatically reinstall on the device. Even if it's been reset to factory settings, it will stay on there and re-upload itself. So they go onto the internet, boom, you know exactly where it is, geotagged, they can come get it. Protect yourself in many different ways. Absolute, obviously, like most companies, don't want to say what all their risks are internally or externally because they want to keep kind of that secret. But these are just kind of some of the main risks that they assume with the technology that they have in the company that they exist like. So thanks all for listening. Looking forward to interacting with you all. Thanks.